First, if you want to venture out of this video, please like, subscribe, comment, follow, share. I'm going to tell you something that I bet you didn't know. Jack Taylor, founder of Enterprise Rental Car. Did you know it's a private business? Did you know that it's doing $30 billion a year in revenue? Did you know it's bigger than Avis and Hertz rental car combined together? I bet you didn't. I'm going to tell you about Jack Taylor and Enterprise and how you can turn your little small business today into a billion-dollar company. Jack Taylor founded Enterprise Rental Car in 1957. In the beginning, he called it the executive auto leasing. He was a regular salesman at a Cadillac dealer. He asked his manager to allow him to start a business on the side. He invested $25,000 into a small business. He took a 50% pay cut, talking about risk at the time, $25,000 investment, which is a lot of money, and taking a 50% pay cut is also a giant change in your annual salary. But he took that risk, started a leasing company, a rental company with only 7 cars. Today he has over 2.1 million vehicles worldwide in 90 plus countries. That's almost half the world. You're telling me you can't turn your small business into a big company? Do you know what set him apart? Something very interesting that nobody ever saw. At the time, Hertz and Avis rental car were giant competitors. They weren't even competitors to Enterprise because he was so small. Started off in St. Louis, Missouri as a small rental car company, right? At the time, Hertz and Avis were renting their vehicles at all airports all over the country and some parts of the world. One thing they overlooked the average American, the American who gets into a car accident, the American who uses insurance, the American who goes to a body shop, and when they take their vehicles into those shops for repairs, they need a rental car because those people's lives don't stop when they get into a crash. They continue. And Jack Taylor saw a very specific niche in that business, in that area, where he outmaneuvered both Hertz and Avis combined. And then they regretted it. Instead of on focusing airports, he focused on local neighborhoods where everyday people used rental cars for their daily tasks. He went into local neighborhoods all over the country. He set up individual offices. And you know what he did that a lot of people don't do, especially in the corporate world? He allowed the managers of those offices to run that office as a separate business. Even though they were part of Enterprise Rental Car, he let them run that office as a separate business. He hired hungry, strategic, smart kids from out of college and gave them the opportunity to be part of that big company that it is today. $30 billion. I'm going to say it over and over again. 7 vehicle fleet turned into 2.1 million vehicle fleet, doing $30 billion a year. $30 billion. In my other videos, what was I talking about? I was talking about strategic partnerships, right? Look what he did. When Hertz and Avis overlooked insurance companies and they overlooked body shops, local simple body shops, Jack Taylor went into those body shops, met with owners, met with insurance executives and said, hey, I want to partner up with your insurance company. Hey, I want to partner up with your body shop. When that person comes with their crashed vehicle, please refer them to me. At the time, nothing like that existed. He was the first in the industry to take over something that did not exist. In 1969, this is where the name Enterprise came from. It was the ship that he served as a U.S. Navy pilot, USS Enterprise. You know what that tells me? He doesn't forget his roots. He doesn't forget where he comes from, okay? He doesn't forget his country. And on top of that, he doesn't forget that the U.S. Navy gave him discipline, gave him strategy, gave him education, and at the end of the day, gave him that name to that business. Another interesting fact, in 1969, the United States government passed a law telling all insurance companies that when your vehicle gets into a crash, that's the reason why today you get a rental car from your insurance company that they pay for, because in 1969, the U.S. government passed a law making sure all insurance companies across the board gave a daily rental car to every single customer that they insured. And Jack Taylor, he already had that market cornered way before 1969. Remember I was telling you about those strategic partnerships? That's exactly what he did. When the time came for him to be the number one supplier of rental cars, he was already in the door. He had his foot in the door way before anybody else. At the time, Hertz and Avis never paid attention because he was so small. They didn't see him as a competitor. But you as a business owner, I want you to look at everybody around you as a competitor. Look at yourself as a competitor to those big companies. Just because they're big, just because they're on the stock market, just because they're doing hundreds and billions of dollars in revenue, which Hertz and Avis at the time were doing, they were kicking ass. and Enterprise was just a little small company, look where he is today. Look where he is today. Every corner, every city you go to, all over this country, you see a green sign, Enterprise Rent-A-Car. We will pick you up. Another slogan that he came up with that nobody did at the time. He told every single customer, I will pick you up from your airport. I will pick you up from your house. I will take you to your local rental car office, and I will make your life much simpler than miserable, because it's miserable. It's so difficult when you get off a flight, you go to a rental car agency, there's a huge line. Everybody's begging to get one vehicle left on the lot. And then they tell you, I'm sorry, we sold out. And then now you got to go to a different agency. And then you got to go to a different agency. This guy kicked ass. This guy innovated. This guy pivoted, which I've been talking about all this time. You got to pivot. You got to innovate. Okay. You got to do strategic partnerships. And this is exactly what he's doing. U.S. Navy vet made a 7-car vehicle fleet into a $30 billion company. You're more likely to see an Enterprise rental car office than for you to see the McDonald's sign, the Golden Arches. You know why? Because Enterprise has more locations than McDonald's. Think of it, McDonald's. Everybody knows McDonald's all over the world. This guy by himself made a 7-car vehicle fleet into a $30 billion company, and then he handed down the business to his son in the 1980s. I want you to follow in the footsteps of Jack Taylor. I want you to follow in the footsteps of Kirk Kerkorian. I want you to follow in the footsteps of Sam Walton, the biggest retailer in the world. Or 8th grade educator Kirk Kerkorian, who owned half of Las Vegas. I want you to think big. I want you to have a vision. If you want to venture out of this video, please like, subscribe, comment, share, follow. I want to see what business you're in, and I want to hear your comments. And I want you to tell me, is there a way for you to open up your second, third, fourth location?